Oh no, wrong button.
This is Elias Dufexes. You're watching That Tom Clancy Show.
And just like you've come to expect from that Tom Clancy show, I of course screwed everything up at the start. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am of course your lovable robot host, Mr. That Tom Clancy. Thank you all for joining us today. Give me just one moment here. I wanna fix something because this is moderately annoying. So just give me just one moment, everybody.
This is Elias Dufexes. You're watching That Tom Clancy Show.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for sitting through that false start of a show beginning. I am, of course, your host, Mr. That Tom Clancy. We've already covered that stuff. So welcome to Saturday, your wonderful weekend of my interviews with various game developers. Now, my guests today are two of the developers behind Depths of Sanity, a Metroidvania set deep underwater from the safe innards of a submarine. Now, bits and pixels, give me one ping only for Nick and Bennett. Oh, and it. Why is that? 1 second. Where are you, cursor? There we are. You go away. Back to. No, that's gone.
This is Elias Dufexes. You're watching That Tom Clancy Show.
Now you guys get to listen to all of the silly sound effects all over again. All right, there we go. Nick Bennett, hi. Welcome to the show.
How's it going? Good to be here.
Yeah,
Good
absolutely. Thanks for having us.
You know, this is why you don't add silly jokes at the last second to your show.
Get your character.
I used to work in theater, and that was always an issue where somebody would be like, "Oh, I want to add a line," and I'd be like, "Sound effects already got to go." So
Yeah, well, you know, I had to throw it in because you're making a submarine game and Tom Clancy, and you know, had to do it, especially since like when I originally reached out to you guys for the interview, I said in the tweet, "Give me one ping only if you wanted to be on the show," and I was just like, I'm just gonna, you know, like this joke writes itself, right? And no, nothing. Just like, yeah, that'd be great. Let's be on the show. Let's do this. And I'm just like, either they hate Red October jokes or they didn't get it. And I don't know which of those two possibilities I disliked more. So,
I mean, I could tell you the honest answer. The honest answer was more of, I definitely was not. I was just like, "Oh, awesome! We use ping in all sorts of ways," and did not even catch that was what the reference was at first.
I think the problem is we've been making this game for long enough. We're kind of numb to all of the nautical, the submarine, like most of the jokes. We've tried a lot of them. We've used a lot of them. I think like now they just kind of like wash over us like waves. See what I mean? It's just sea puns all the time. It's terrible.
well, my big question is there a moment in the game where somebody is reminding you that not everything takes too well to bullets?
I don't think so. That Nick would know the specifics, but I don't know if we get too deep in the weeds with all the references.
Well, for everyone at home,
we
these are Nick and Bennett, and they're actually in their appropriate seats from my little name box down there. So I at least got one thing right today. And as I understand it, so Nick, you're the writer.
Yep.
And Bennett is one of or the artist.
The only one.
Well, I mean, there's an implication that the team is bigger than the two of you guys, so you never know. There might be another artist on there.
No, it's true. I think if it
Uh,
sounded like there was a sound of any sort of desperation in my voice or any sort of sigh, that's because it's been a lot of it's a lot of stuff. You set out, you're like, I'm gonna draw everything in this video game, and you're like, oh my god, there's so much more than like just making a couple of environments and making a couple of characters and being like, all right, I'm done. Like it just keeps coming.
It's
we
almost
have
like
multiple programmers, just one leading man as the artist.
yeah, it's almost like making games is hard.
A little
Who
bit.
knew? But
Never
well,
would have guessed.
yeah, never, not in a million years. Well, of course, formalities aside, welcome so much to the show. It's lovely to have you both here. Thank you for taking some time out of your Saturday afternoons.
Same difference.
You're on quarantine time. You're like, I don't even know what it is anymore.
Yeah, pretty
exactly.
much, man. Like at the beginning of all of this, like until I adapted to the now times, I just thought like I didn't know what day of the week it was. I didn't know what time of day it was. All I knew was the sun was up or the sun wasn't up, and that was it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, because like I live right next to a college campus, and
Oh, it's been deserted.
oh yeah, because like we initially went into our lockdown in late March, early April, which is like prime college kids walking everywhere
Yeah.
time. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like the streets are just empty. And it was weird. It was like living in a Fallout game with fewer ghouls. And
It's
better
like
main-
the original version of Fallout 76. Nobody's there.
yeah, pretty much. Just the neighborhood cats, and you got to watch out for them. But yeah, it's
I measure in a before restaurants open time. Now that's like my oh, okay, now I can go out to eat. This is the after time,
see,
as opposed to everything needs to come to the house.
I still think I'm still in everything comes to the house time because I'm not cool going to a restaurant right now. For two main reasons. One, it's still way too early. Our infection rate is still way too high. And two, my day job is that I work at a Starbucks, but I'm on furlough at the moment, which I'm very happy with. And I'm not putting those like customer facing workers in any more stress than they have to be. And so if I can, help alleviate like the stress of my fellow, like my cousins in food service, then yeah, I'll just order takeout and pick it up at the curb.
Yeah.
So,
I hear it.
but that's it. Now, disturbing dystopia talk aside, what are you guys playing right now? It's a question I've started asking this week, and you're game developers. I figure it's fair game.
I
Well,
actually think we're for the first time playing one of the first, like at the same time. Me and Bennett are playing one game. Ghost of Tsushima is like, or at least the
that's
big
right.
game I'm playing right now.
I'm not gonna
Um,
lie, I
Which
want
just
that
started
game.
that up. It
it's really good so far.
It is. It was a lot of fun. I was having a lot of fun with it, and then I got to a point where I was like, "This is great and all, the sword fights, the samurai." I'm playing it in. I don't know if you're doing this, Nick, but I was like, they give you the option to play it in either like English subtitles, or what they call Japanese cinema. You could play it with Japanese with English subtitles. I was like, "Give me that." Like you can go all out like samurai film. They even have a Kurosawa filter, make it black and white.
Yeah.
I also think
But
they
that
dropped
kind
the
of
frame
throws
rate
all the
too.
colors. That's even better. And like, so I was getting all kind of like old school samurai movie thrilled with it. I was like, the only thing this game is missing is the ability for me to like flick the blood or like wipe the blood off of my blade and put it in the sheath. And somebody pointed out to me that you can in fact do that. So right now it is, yeah, probably one of the better games that I've played in a while. because
I
I
think-
can be a
I'm
samurai.
Oh,
I'm
go
one of
ahead,
those
Nick.
terrible people that I'll never play with the subtitles because, like, I always get to a point where I'm in a battle and some character is supposed to say something important, but uh, it's not in a language I understand. The words flash on the screen, and I'm like, I don't know what I was supposed to do. So now I'm in this section for another 10 minutes. So,
I've crashed my
like,
horse a couple of times riding from one place to another, trying to read. I was like, what's the story saying? What's that story? Ah, crap! Just boom, right into something. You're like, oh, yeah. So I get you. It happens for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate that the horse doesn't die like in other open world games. It just gets up and keeps going. I'm like, good.
Resilient.
Very clearly, it's the immortal horse you get from Skyrim for finishing the Dark Brotherhood quest.
There you go.
Um,
We can only hope.
you know, it seems like, anyway, at least. Sorry there, guys. Hold on a second here. Water needs to happen. This is a wonderful way to start the show.
Simultaneous sip.
Oh,
in
right.
solidarity.
Much better.
Hydro Bros.
So, one thing that definitely speaks to the quality of that game is when Japanese developers are getting jealous that we made it and they didn't. Which I imagine we would feel very jealous of Japanese developers if they made, like, I don't know, like a top tier FPS. You know, because because I mean that's our genre. Like that's what we created, and we still kind of we own that. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Although the other game I
I mean-
primarily play is a hardcore FPS that's fully Russian developed. I can't get enough of that Escape
Oh.
from Tarkov that blew up back in January. I play that all the time now.
I watch people play it. I just don't get it. I probably have
It's-
to play it for myself.
Like actually, yes, it's the hardest thing to like explain without you have to play it to really for it to click. And it's also just like, do you like being stressed out? Yes, then you'll like this game. Do you not like being stressed out? You probably want to play another game. It's
I gotta get
It's
you into
weird.
more survival horror, man. I feel like you're on the cusp always, and then I'm like, come on, just make the jump.
it's too much resource management, man.
I was really waiting for you to like.
bang, 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 bang.
Yeah,
Just start blasting.
I was just waiting for you to say you're still playing Stalker, and
So I've heard of there are a couple of mods that I haven't played yet that I need to get my hands on to play. So I've been thinking about firing up Stalker because they put together a cool Call of Pripyat mod. So yeah, no, I love the Stalker games as well.
nice. Are you excited for Stalker 2?
I'm thrilled for it. I know just the trend of like the way this sort of revitalizing, rebooting, rehashing, I don't know the exact term you want to have for like Fable, like Modern Warfare, the fact that there's like Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, then there's like Modern Warfare Remastered, and then they have Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and that's a different game from those other two. Like they're doing this weird thing, and the game that usually comes out later isn't always as good. I'm worried about that.
Every developer forgot how to properly name their
Number things?
sequels. Like, come on,
Yeah.
guys, just keep numbers, keep it simple.
Like, don't even get me started on the Battlefield series or the Xbox itself. It's confusing, but long
Let's not
answer,
forget
yes.
God of War.
Yep,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's like we're just gonna drop. We're starting over. We've decided we're starting over, but we didn't want to come up with a new character. So
Well, I mean, in God of War's case, at least, it was a really well done soft reboot. So,
Yeah, it's at least very thematically connected. Even though now, because I still actually love the original a bit more, just because like there's very few games that scratch that like complete bloody violence chaos itch in like a 7-hour package anymore. So now
Yeah.
every time I'm talking about it, you always gotta be like, no, God of War 2005. I like 2018. But 2005, I just want to rip some Medusa's heads off and get into it.
see, I think 2005, excellent game. Don't get me wrong. It's the American response to Devil May Cry. You know,
Yep.
And it's gonna go down, at least for me, anyways, as one of the top 100 games of history. And God of War 2 maybe a little bit too, because I mean, like having Harry Hamlin come in to play Perseus again, and as a kid who grew up watching the original Clash of the Titans, that was really awesome.
Yeah.
But
And you
2018's,
beat his face in.
oh yeah, no, that was great. But no offense, Harry Hamlin, I love you. I know you're not watching the show, but just in case you are, you're awesome. It was nothing against you. It was just the character. But the 2018 one was just so good. Like it was just, it still scratched that itch of like the ultra violence for me, but more in like a Dark Soulsy Legend of Zelda kind of way. But the
Gotcha.
story was just so good. And like, I mean, before you even get like the after the credits bit at the end, but just like the finale of that game when you're finally, you know, spoilers, laying Faye to rest was just like this lovely moment. And then too, it's just like I'm assuming you two have beat it, right? Or played it?
Bennett hates those kinds. I did beat
God of
it.
War is not really my cup of tea, so I don't plan on playing it at any point. So
Okay.
I mean,
Well, for
this is a
everyone in
you two
chat,
get, like,
I'm going to give a spoiler warning right here, and so cut your audio in just a sec. I'm going to make a hand gesture. So when I do this, it means that spoilers are over. So go ahead and mute your audio if you don't want spoilers. But just the way that they did. The way that they kind of subverted the not expectation, but kind of subverted the expectation of Atreus being also Loki, you know, because it was just, you know, they referred to the wife as Faye just all the time, and then like eventually you hear Lao Fei, and it was just like you know, and it was just this wonderful, like, oh my God, we're gonna have to kill the kid, you know, just so good.
I will say it did a very good job of like the fact that the entire game is actually a specific Norse myth, but you don't realize that till the finale when like he punches the I forget what it is, the green herb that's the only thing that'll kill him in that myth. I will say that was very well done.
Oh yeah. All right, so spoilers are done. But yeah, I mean, it's just I love that game. The performances in it were so good. Like when I heard Christopher Judge playing Kratos in the original demo for it that they showed off at E3 years and years and years ago, you know, back when E3 was still a thing.
How I miss it. I hate having these announcements doled out over 3 months. I'm like, just give it all in one go for me.
See, I can understand that, but at the same time, I don't miss the show proper. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Like, because I've been to 4 or 5 E3s. I don't remember off the top of my head. Like, if I sat down and did the math, it would probably take me 15 seconds. But I'd rather spend 15 seconds explaining why I don't want to spend 15 seconds doing mental math. And it's just like
I feel you.
the best part of E3. Well, there are two great things of E3. One is, of course, the announcements, and like the announcements are wonderful, especially if they don't get leaked. Because like, man, it's just so cool getting that surprise and like knowing that something cool is on the way. But the other thing about it too is that it's just like the best part about it for me isn't getting to play these games or see these demos. It's getting to hang out with a bunch of really cool people who are really passionate about what they do. And especially like if you know, like the games industry, for as huge as it is also really small. And so it's like this great opportunity to sit down and talk with some friends that you haven't seen in a while, who haven't been able to tell you what they've been working on for years. And you get, you know, this double energy of like, so happy to see you with, I can finally tell you what I've been working on. And it just makes for like this magic week. And I'm going to miss
I've actually
that.
never gotten a chance to go to E3 itself. We've done a bunch of other like um various conventions, larger and smaller, like PAX East. We've done a bunch of times, and like to a certain degree, I imagine it's similar. It's probably a lot more um, exactly what you're talking about. E3 being what it is versus something like PAX, but I definitely do miss the convention space in general. It's
Yeah.
been a big bummer for us. We were actually um fingers crossed nothing was set in stone, but we were talking to some people while we were at PAX, and we were planning on trying to get ourselves onto the show floor of E3 this year, which was going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
And started talking we were talking to those people about it, and then like while we were waiting on them to kind of like double check, and like they had reviewed it, they're like, yeah, we're interested in it, get us this, you're gonna have to have your demo ready to go on this day. And then like 2 days later they were like, yeah, so I'm sure you heard the news that E3's canceled, so sorry about that. So yeah, it's kind of crazy to be living in the world of no conventions. I walked past the just yesterday. I was out in the area where they actually have the PAX convention in Boston, and just
Yeah.
looking at it and being like, that's they repaved everything because I mean the
There's no
facility's
traffic.
just closed, right? Like, what are they going to do?
It's the
Like, are they
first
just
time in
they just
years they can actually get some
yeah,
pavement
pull up all the
down.
pavement, just pave everything. It's like brand new. They haven't even painted lines on it because when are they going to use it again? It's a bummer.
Yeah. It's definitely the weirdest year in human history that I have ever seen. And like I saw the fall of the Berlin Wall. So it's like that's saying something.
Damn.
Well, that's I mean, I feel like part of it has got to be the fact that like it didn't take 6 months for it. Like, I mean, actually, no, it's pretty naive to me to be like, it didn't take 6 months for the Berlin Wall to fall. It took pretty much the entire Cold War, if we want to get specific about it. But like, when they knocked it down, they knocked it down. Like, it's got other stuff going around it, but this just like won't stop.
No,
It
this
just like
just
keeps
yeah.
going. It just keeps getting weirder,
I
and we
think
keep
it's
adapting to the new normal. It's something else.
I feel like it's the one Dane Cook joke that I like about how he doesn't want to get stabbed because you have that whole time of seeing the knife coming at you, you know, and like that's basically what this is we're just watching this knife continue to slowly stab us and then stab us again, and it sucks.
This is a feel-good conversation of the year.
I know, right?
But it's
Look.
2020. You tell me who's having a feel good conversation this year, right? Like, where are
Yeah.
you going to find one of those?
Well, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, was just actually posted a thread on Twitter last night at LD Bean. She's a lovely artist. You should go follow her. Tell her I sent you. And she was posting a thread last night about like all the stuff that she had to be thankful for in 2020 because 2020 has kicked her in the teeth, just like a bunch of us. And you know, it was really nice to sit down and like read something that actually good came out of this. I mean, you know, like I've spent most of this year effectively unemployed, but like I hit Twitch affiliate, which was really nice. I finally got this show going in earnest. Like, yeah, you know, I've got to meet a bunch of cool indie developers over the summer working on like a bunch of weird ass projects. You know, like, I mean, I hung out with these Swedes playing a game where I was an ape climbing on monkey bars looking for bananas. Like, yeah, that was fun. I'm talking with you guys about a Metroidvania and a submarine. You know, like, yeah, I mean, you don't have to look hard to find the good things that have happened in 2020, but the bad things are just so in your face and like grab you by the shoulders and scream at you that it's kind of hard to look past that.
That's fair. I like that. I like that outlook.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like the good's still out there. We just got to work a little harder to find it. So, but you know, keeping with that though, you're here to talk about Depths of Sanity. And whoa, that was wonderful timing because Depths of Sanity just popped up on the little thing there as I said that. I wish I could have planned it. So
Just say you did. Just say you did.
just
Take
yeah,
it.
I mean, I knew it's gonna come up every 8 seconds because I know the timer on it because I made it. You know. So tell us a bit about the game.
I'll let you. You want to take it first, Bennett?
Yeah, sure. Metroidvania is a genre that we have really liked. I'm just gonna roll with it. Metroidvania is it's a great indie genre. It's a great game genre. I mean, like without getting into the nitty gritty of like what genres are in games, it's super complicated. But like it's a game that everybody on the team has a favorite. Everybody's played one version or another, and something that we kind of wanted to take a crack at. So we made and have been making Depths of Sanity for the better part of coming on 4 years now. So it is, as we mentioned, an underwater Metroidvania. The entire level is the underwater level, and we're fully aware of the sort of implications of that. But you're going to explore 6 different unique worlds, going deeper. Just it's a same sort of traditional Metroidvania format. Nothing like there are a bunch of new ways to do it. There's some that are roguelike and Souls-like. You have the Hollow Knights and stuff like that. It's a little more sort of typical Metroidvania flavor. You're going to be getting upgrades. Upgrades are going to give you access to new areas. You're going to continue exploring, expanding your arsenal, and uncovering a mystery while you do it. And we, yeah, Nick, if you want to jump in with some
So,
of
so
what
I
that
was gonna
mystery is.
say. So I mean, the basic premise of the game is so it actually uses a real life incident as the basis, even though it has the silliest real life incident name you ever heard of. It was called the Bloop.
Oh,
Happened in the mid '90s, and basically, oh, you know it?
I know the bloop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't, basically every major oceanographer and ocean hub in the '90s picked up this massive vibration underneath the ocean all across the globe. That up until recently they had no idea what it was. Uh, Recently they found out I believe it was like ice shifting under the ground. We go in a very different direction. A ship called the Baroness is sent to kind of go investigate the vibration. They don't come back, and the commander Abe Douglas, who you play as in the game, who basically built the crew that got sent that way, makes it his job to go find them and figure out what happened, and that's kind of where the game starts. Um, and as it goes on, it starts in more familiar territory and then gets significantly darker and weirder as it goes on, which is kind of one of the fun things about working on it. And relating to the Metroidvania, one of the reasons we wanted to kind of set it under the water. So like, yes, it's traditional in the way that you get your upgrades, you unlock more areas, that sort of thing. But we were like, all right, if we don't have platforming, which in most Metroidvanias, 90% of your like unlockable move sets are about platforming. How do
Mm-hmm.
we actually build this? Which kind of led us to have to do um, to have to create a lot of tools that were kind of very kind of unique to the game. Everything from like, okay, we have giant sections where you can only rely on sonar as one of the things that like kind of guide you through, or tow lines to pull yourself through hard currents, or like getting out of your sub in a diver suit, but you're extremely vulnerable when that happens, and that sort of thing. So it kind of gave us a really cool setup and setting to play with for the genre.
Yeah, it plays
Nice.
a little bit more like a top-down shooter conceptually than a traditional platformer would. And because of that, it changes a lot of the gates. Like Nick's mentioning, a lot of your upgrades are jump based, and therefore a lot of the barriers that prevent you can't get into this next place because it's out of reach. You can't jump that high, but there's no jumping, so you could just move to it in our game. So we needed different ways to shut areas off and give you a chance to explore and upgrade yourself. So it was a fun like challenge and something that there are similar games. There are games that kind of mess with that kind of movement style in the Metroidvania space, but there aren't a lot, and we haven't seen one that's so combat focused like ours is. So we think it's fairly unique in what it does.
No, I didn't play your demo with the controller, unfortunately. I didn't have access to one last night when I played it because contrary to popular belief, I do actually prepare for this show. Uh, um, and I imagine with the controller, it would also kind of pull off that kind of like a twin stick feel to it too.
So yes and no. We actually we it has that sort of feel to it, but it's actually not fully twin stick. We found that giving as weird as it might seem, like you have too much control over the ship when that was one of the iterations we had was twin stick controls. But we were trying to avoid making what would essentially be a like very confined bullet hell shooter. And just having that much 100% control of your ship is like it would need to be bullet hell to be remotely challenging whatsoever. So it's a little momentum based. You do steer with one and accelerate with another, so it's got a little bit of a twin stick feel to it, though not exactly.
So more asteroids than Geometry Wars.
Asteroids is the perfect comp for controlling it, but Metroid and Asteroid are too similar of a name, so there's no way to smash them together. Because if you were like, we're making an underwater Metroid, and you're like, well, so how does it control? Like asteroids. That's why I said Mestroids. Like it doesn't
Asteroidvania.
Oh yeah,
Asteroidvania.
Asteroidvania.
Just
Yeah.
feels like what somebody
You
might
got farther
call
than
it.
we did with the nickname.
No.
And
See,
I just
the
came
worry
up with
is,
it
like,
just now.
if somebody called my game an Asteroidvania, I'd be like, excuse me, that's not very nice. We worked really hard on that.
But the strange thing is that
I
like,
hope that
think about it. You've created an entire new genre.
That's kind of the hope.
Yeah, like no, man, just lean into it. You know, just lean right into it and just, you know, be like, we've created an Asteroidvania. It blends the controls of classic arcade hit Asteroids with the world exploring combat nature of Castlevania. You know,
It's actually like it's 100% accurate. It's like that's the most accurate representation of like the mechanics of the game and the way the controls work. Just with an expanded arsenal because you just have the one
like
pea shooter in
Castlevania.
Asteroids. Yeah, exactly. So it's in there.
Yeah,
Asteroidvania.
yeah. That's your
See,
free
now I'm
idea
like,
for me.
I'm-
Every other one for the rest of the show, finder's fee.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll
But
take it.
yeah, no, I mean, you caught my eye first because submarine game. Two, because the video or GIF, I forget exactly which one it was from the original Picture Game tweet, heavily relied on sonar, and I was like, yes, somebody's finally doing it in a submarine game. And then three, the whole idea, like the Depths of Sanity idea, and now knowing the inspiration with the bloop, really goes like, ooh, they're gonna find some eldritch horror under, you know. And I'm like, I'm super down for this. It's also the dead giveaway is your cephalopod branded shirt.
That is, yeah, that's fair.
So,
Yeah.
and you're talking like, I mean, clearly you haven't watched too many episodes of the show. Otherwise, you would know that I am a bit of a cryptid aficionado, and I absolutely know of the bloop. And also, I forget the which one it is, but it's like the 150 hertz whale or something. This alleged whale that sings on, that's the only one of its species that sings on one very specific frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So also, Bigfoot's big. We're pretty close.
He's not underwater.
Bigfoot
though,
or
so we're
Loch
not aware
Ness?
of him. See, Loch Ness. There we
Well,
go.
Alright,
I actually on my wall here, just off camera, I have a Loch Ness monster clock that says "Believe in yourself when no one else does." It's
That's great.
Oh yeah, no, it's
That's
excellent.
great.
It's my motivational clock. You know, and it's the funny part is I don't believe Loch Ness is real. Like Loch Ness is very clearly real. I've seen it, but the monster I don't believe in. So, you know, but it's a nice little thing. Like I'm like really Fox Mulder in that I do want to believe, as opposed to I don't just have an I want to believe poster on my wall while I actually just believe. So
That works. That works. You believe in men who can stretch into crawl spaces to kill people? That's like the one X-Files episode I always remember to this day.
no, I don't believe in that, but those 2 episodes were excellent.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, because he came back.
Oh, I definitely didn't see the one where he came back.
Yeah, there's the first one where they catch him and they put him in a psych institute, and then he escapes, and then they, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but he escapes.
I'll have to hunt down that episode myself.
Yeah, it's on, I don't know if it's still on Netflix. I know it was. Like the first 4 seasons of the X-Files are generally worth watching.
Yeah,
So,
show had some of the best monster of the weeks ever.
yeah, that's really when that show was at its strongest. It's like meta plot just kind of fell apart. Because what was the point of that meta plot? Like, were the humans working with the aliens? Were they not working with the aliens? Like, who knows?
I really hope somebody's listening who like had never watched an episode of the X-Files and they're just like, what the hell is like this?
Yeah, you know,
That's
if you're
plot
watching and
summaries
you've
of
never
X-Files.
watched the X-Files, just pick like 4 episodes completely at random and try and tell me what the meta plot was.
I've watched like the first 2 seasons and I'm not sure.
Yeah. Like,
Right?
there are aliens, there are people who don't like the aliens, there's the guy giving him secret information on the side, there's mind erasing drugs. Ah, the X-Files.
All there.
Well, so question I have, and we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but how big of a team are you guys working with?
So give or take, so we have like a couple of people who are like fully dedicated, and I say like at the end of the day, that's about 4. The 2 of us, and then Dustin and Jim, who do a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes in terms of the like the actual coding in Unity, the actual like some programming, the porting of things, tech work, making things run when they break, fixing all that good stuff. So like 4 is sort of the core number, but we do have other people who help us out with like music composition, doing other sound based stuff, and like so they pinch hit every so often. I think we get like as big as 8 with just like people coming in and helping us out, just like old friends of ours who are creatively inclined, and we ask them for stuff and they can help us out. But 4 is like the size of the core team itself.
Nice. And real quick, hi Chroma. Thanks for joining us today. Chroma is one of our core audience members there. And apparently he is a bit of an X-Files aficionado. So, you know, like Chroma, maybe you can explain to us what the hell was the meta plot of that show? Because, like, I've watched a solid 70% of it, and I have no clue what's up.
Is this going to be one of those things where like we will need to check back and see if there's like a feel like to explain it, it's going to take a bit, you know? It's not an easy like, oh, it's just this. It's like, well, he's
Yeah.
this and this is he's going to get that Charlie Day like looking at the what is it?
the
Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
conspiracy
trying to figure
board.
out the
Yeah.
plot. Yeah.
Apparently, there were several meta plots, and I'm just like, all right, Chroma, I
That's
appreciate that. I now no longer care. Like, you know, that's what I liked about Fringe. Fringe had like the one meta plot, and that was it. You know, it's like X-Files with direction. But
Man.
either way,
Harsh opinion.
Well, because they weren't Monster of the Week episodes. They were all involved in the plot. Like, it seemed like Monster of the Week until you found that there was an actual, like pattern behind it. There was a Charlie Day wall. You know. But,
there was a Charlie Day wall that was real.
yeah, that was real.
Not the fake one.
But, well, Bennett, we talked earlier about having some actual gameplay to show. And you were kind enough to... Hold on a second. Who the hell is calling me? What is a 217 area code? You're not real.
Probably not.
No, that's very likely one of those robocalls that is soon to become a thing of the past. That's trying to get every last little bit of income it can get before it has to go away. So
I get a lot about the car that I don't own.
Oh yeah, I get the extended warranty for the car I bought 6 years ago, and I'm just like, dude, you've been calling me about this for 6 years and I haven't answered once. Like, what makes you think I give a shit? So, but they're robots.
Persistence.
They don't know. They're not like, well-programmed androids like myself. Though I don't run the Google operating system, I'm not secretly storing your information. But would you please say your social security number one more time, a little bit more loudly for the people in the back? Oh, man. Fun times. I like to make those jokes because they make me sad if I don't.
I hear that.
Oh, man. Yeah, so how's... I gotta say, though, real quick, you guys do not sound like you're from the Northeast.
What?
Yeah, so I've been told I have a fairly non-regional accent of any sort, but no, I mean, I was born and raised in Massachusetts, so...
Well, you don't sound it.
Well, see, this is what I would normally bust out, some really bad Boston accent, but
the only way you can do a Boston accent, it was horrific swearing involved too. So I feel
yeah, that's a good point.
Talking about donkeys and so is Dunkin' Donuts really that big of an institution in Boston, or is that just a joke?
Oh my god!
Yes. So my town already has two, and they built another one during the pandemic.
So,
and my town is only 4 square miles. It's a small town. We have almost 1 per square mile. We had 1 for every 2 square miles, and now we've got even more. It's unnecessary, but apparently it's like the first of its kind. It's all digital and contactless or something. But no, it's an institution.
I just thought that was like a Casey Affleck joke on SNL, like the donkey sketch.
So like I think
I don't.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say I don't live in Mass, so I live in Jersey now, and on my block in Jersey there is a Dunkin' Donuts at the end of this block, and then 2 blocks if you just follow in the other direction is another Dunkin' Donuts. And to this day I don't get it, because anybody who eats fast food, if you eat fast food breakfast, McDonald's has better fast food breakfast than Dunkin' Donuts. Literally every fast food place that doesn't specialize in breakfast has a better breakfast. So I don't get how they're so ubiquitous. Like,
well, dude, it's about their coffee is strangely legit. Like, I'm not gonna say like their coffee's like some excellent coffee, but for fast food coffee,
yeah,
it's pretty good. And 2, donuts.
Yeah.
I'm a diabetic. I need donuts anytime. So
that sucks, man.
We just like get this out of here.
That said, though, dude, their hash browns are ass. Like those things are terrible, like over seasoned, and it's not even just that like they're over seasoned. It's like it got over seasoned by 2 different chefs who were trying to like season it towards one direction. So it's just like, dude, are you trying to go like salty or pepper here? Like pick one.
It's a dueling piano bar, except they're chefs making one thing of hash browns.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the sausage sandwich isn't terrible, but neither here nor there.
Yeah.
We're here to talk
about the way of life.
We're supposed to be here talking about video games, but pretty much every episode gets sidetracked on food at some point. Just
that's all right
American
by me.
like street
Makes
food sucks because it's Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times. Well, yeah. Whenever you're ready, Bennett, we can.
So I think I should have a stream up and running. It should be the game.
I'm
all
seeing
right.
it on mine.
Yeah, I'm still getting your webcam. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not bad. You get that cool HyperX headset, nice haircut, you know.
Let's see. If I stop my camera. Oop, clicked out. You should probably see my desktop. Now, can you see it?
Oh wait, yes. Give me uno momento. Where's my mouse? There it is. There we are. We gotcha.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right.
Do you want to intro this? I was gonna say intro this clip. What is this? Or or do you want me to?
I'm gonna jump right into the gameplay, get myself a little bit acquainted. If you
Yeah.
want to talk about it while I make sure I remember how the controls work. Okay, there we go.
So Bennett's currently playing a build of the demo that you can actually play on Steam right now if you search Depths of Sanity. It's a small chunk of the second biome of the game, which is kind of a sunken ship graveyard. So he's getting reacquainted. When you boot up the demo, we recommend you play with a controller, and generally we always actually prefer it, but you can play it with a mouse and keyboard. He's just getting his sea legs back.
Yeah.
I didn't even mean for that to be a pun. So anyway,
Yo, Echo does not like you.
interesting. This is an earlier section.
Yeah, this is a slightly out of date build. This would be the PAX. This is the version we brought to PAX.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're seeing we added the tutorial segment to the demo. Is the shark gonna go for it?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
one of the things, so obviously you have a kind of wide range of weapons. There's a few in this demo you can try out, but there's a bunch in the main game. Some are optional. Some you kind of just discover as you go along. But there's other things you can use to kind of trick your enemies. So one of the things that we kind of want to show people early is like if you come across mines, you can use them on your enemies by either tricking them into ramming them or blowing them up when they're near is kind of another tactic that you have. Right now, he's currently getting a little whooped by this pufferfish, Bennett.
I was trying to get in close with the whole implosion.
The implosion cannon.
So I wanted to touch on two things before I proceeded into the next area. We kind of have a fairly traditional. We're not going to go through the entire journal, but there's a story to be picked up. The game isn't going to have any like voice acting or anything like that, so you'll have a couple of different ways you'll experience the story through the journals left behind by this crew, which you kind of just got a sneak peek of if you've been following us on Twitter. We've been rolling them out, so you can actually get to know all 6 of those crew members that you're looking for. So you'll find out through there, and then just kind of like dialogue, like you kind of saw a little bit of in the beginning.
Cutscenes.
This next section, though, is one of our dark areas. So darkness is a big part of the game. It's one of our soft gates. Basically, as you can see, this is not like the way this is made isn't if I turn the brightness up on your stream or on my screen, I can see the edges of everything. We really just kind of like black out some areas because it gets dark under there. So there are a couple of different ways to light your way. This is bioluminescent algae, which will give you a time limited ability to look around. You can kind of navigate based on some of the sea life that's around. Then there's more algae. But
this is early in the
here,
game before you get any kind of other way of dealing with darkness like sonar or light. So there's sections where you use bioluminescence. You can kind of use your bullets to guide you. And there's some areas, while there are definitely harder gates, we have seen, at least in one of these sections, somebody just decide to skip collecting one of those items and try to brute force their way through a dark area. And they've been successful once or twice.
Yeah, so as you can see, we'll go into the next area, and it's just dark down here. There's really just nothing I can do. I can get out. I got a tiny little flashlight as the diver, um, but like you're up against it trying to navigate in this area. So um, we could go for it. So this is like we mentioned a soft gate, but we're gonna see if we can get this thing over here, because that's probably gonna make our life a lot easier. Um, so here's another gate that we're using. So this is kind of this demo that we put together. We've been showcasing it at a lot of different events back when that was a thing, and putting it online at other online events now that that's the way things are done. So we tried to show off a lot of the different mechanics at once. So this is one of the uh, one of the features of the game is sort of like the morph ball or the drone and Axiom Verge. I did get out earlier, but you can see now I'm in this little diver suit,
Is that
much
a
smaller,
shiny
much more
Kingler up
vulnerable.
there?
That is actually it's very close. It's got that. Yeah, that's good. Kingler does have that big horn on the top of his head, doesn't he?
Yeah. I had to make the joke.
I love it. I like it. So diver
When you
has a little
first start the
harpoon gun.
game,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say when you start the game, you actually are tethered to the ship via an oxygen hose. So this is already him getting kind of a scuba tank upgrade. Obviously, you're limited by oxygen. You have a harpoon gun when you're the diver, but I believe it is one hit and you're dead. So we play with that with certain sections. We're putting you kind of under some very stressful segments where you have to be outside of your ship with a whole lot of enemies around. Oh, you just fired up the energy shield.
I'm mashing buttons to figure out the
It's been a while since you've done this with keyboard.
yep, the flashlight key. I found it. So now when we go in here, now we got some light. But keep it in that sort of like the horrors of the depths underneath. It's it doesn't go very far.
Uh-oh. That looks really inviting. I'm sure there's not a big scary fish attached to it.
I'm sure this is
We
definitely
appreciate it.
one. Yeah, we put this in like a few too many trailers and pieces of promotional art for the jump scare to work in the game. These ones will get most people though, I think. Those
Yeah.
yeah,
So
we
there's
can see.
certain fish that to play with kind of our darkness sections, there's certain fish that will only go after you when you have a light on, but you can sneak around otherwise. Like you turned it off and it stopped going after him.
Mm-hmm.
For kind of ways to play with it. And we're just kind of breezing through and showing a few mechanics. There are areas he hasn't explored kind of earlier in the level, and there's already kind of yeah, you've been past 2 or 3 of the secrets. We
Yeah,
usually see people find at least 2 out of 3, but very few people find all 3.
I opted not to just in
Yeah.
case we do have anybody who wants to check it out. That is as is normally the feature with a lot of Metroidvanias. Um there are plenty of things to find that I did not grab just because what's the fun in showing you every single secret?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fair.
we tried to make it clear that we'll be putting that kind of stuff in the main game as well. There's all kinds of hidden things to find that'll upgrade your ship. There's like hidden story elements, secret endings, that kind of stuff. You know, all the typical Metroidvania fare. Got to
Why are
see
you shooting
Abe
that
in a
that
bikini.
nice manta ray? Oh, because it's evil.
Got evil parasite things in it. Yeah, everything in the ocean, everything in our ocean is pretty evil. Though
Yeah.
we did do
It starts as sea life you're aware of, and then as you go on, it becomes very much uh not sea life, for lack of spoilers.
the remarkably something that I noticed after we had done a lot of the artwork and building the monsters and stuff like that. A lot of the actual gentle sea life that aren't predators and things like that, they're not actually a direct threat to you. They're mostly just kind of idle in your way. It's the predators that will actually come at you. So if you do have a problem just killing a bunch of sea life randomly that that don't look like they deserve it. You don't have to. So just to clarify that if you do feel that way, it's because you decided to kill all those fish.
Bastard.
Well, I'm the kind of guy at AGDQ who donates to save the animals on the Super Metroid run. So
That's awesome.
cool.
So this is
Oh
a
man.
preview of one of our boss fights. That I'm probably going
I was gonna
to
say this is gonna be a
take a
struggle.
whooping during. Show off one of the
Dang,
other
man,
ones.
those mermaids are mean.
They are. They're the mean old siren variety.
So yeah, like this weapon, kind of the plasma arc, kind of attaches you to whatever enemy you get, so it's useful for ones that are always gliding around super fast. But Bennett really likes the implosion cannon, which will immediately destroy anything in it, but you have to be super, super close to use it.
Yeah, it's like playing a shooter with melee weapons.
I mean,
Bringing a
you know,
knife
I
to a
do that.
gunfight. But yeah, the some of our bosses are sort
Do you
of
have
borrowed
torpedoes?
from. I do. They just
Or are you
I'm
saving them?
saving some for the for later.
Oh,
A lot of our bosses and some of our creatures are inspired by well, I'm missing wildly. There we go. Inspired by creatures and legends of the deep. There are all kinds of different stories for like all the crazy stuff at the bottom of the ocean that like you never know what's down there. So we kind of took a lot of ideas from a lot of different folklore, sirens, Moby Dick, Leviathan, all kinds of crazy sea creatures that are down there.
So now this
The light
segment, you can use your light to try and stock it. You can try to turn on these others to give yourself a better sense. At this point in the game, you wouldn't. Granted, this isn't really a full level. It's just kind of a mashup of a few areas, but you still wouldn't have the sonar yet to track this thing. And it'll wreck you if you stay in the dark too long. If you check out the HUD above, so the number next to the heart is health, obviously, but all of these buttons on the side that say hull that are going from oh no
yeah, clicked outside
from
of
green
the
to red are kind of like your different levels of armored hull. Once all of those break, you're on your last health. Sort of, I guess, similar to, I guess, a little bit of a reverse of how Halo does it for just ease of understanding.
kind of works like that's actually very close to the way the Metroidvania
yeah. I was like,
E-tank
that's
systems
E-tanks
work.
and
Yeah.
Metroid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is
Next
one
here.
angry octo person.
Yeah, it does not help
Oh,
that
yeah.
my combat skills with the mouse and keyboard are a little lacking.
Yeah.
We're the skills are down
Our
to the wire.
programmer Dustin is crazy to watch this fight in because he's like mastered the backdash, and so he's just like flying backwards
Hey.
like a butterfly for the whole fight. And I'm like, I don't even know. Like I get through it clearly, but I don't know how he does it to that level. But we've seen a few people who, when we were actually showcasing kind of segments in person, like at PAX East, start to kind of get that level of control over it, which is always awesome to see.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
so
that's the demo. I'm gonna
short little segment.
didn't hang
Awesome.
up. No, I didn't. Good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
how do I get back
So
to
wants me to rate your stream. It's just like how would you rate it?
10 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so like we said, that demo is kind of a small area of one of the second environments of the game, and the one on Steam is a little bit tweaked from that now. But you kind of go through a pretty wide variety. I think one of the favorites we haven't shown anything from it, and I actually don't know if we're going to show things from it for release, just because it's kind of one of our favorites, and we kind of want people to discover on their own. But like, for those, I'm sure you probably know what this is, but we have a segment in Whale Fall, which
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who don't know, is basically when whales die, they rot towards the bottom of the ocean, and their bodies become habitats for thousands of other fishes and creatures. So there is a segment towards the back half where it's this very uh, wonderfully disgusting area of nothing but rotting creatures and things making homes out of them, um,
Well,
which I
one
enjoy a
quick
lot.
question about that.
Yeah.
Sleeper sharks?
Well, I just got to do some research real quick. I don't know what a sleeper shark is.
Well, they are a
And
large.
now I think I should.
You should. They're relatives of the Greenland shark. They live in the deep ocean, and they tend to show up at whale falls.
Nice.
Yeah, they're the size of great whites too.
They got some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these things are. Yeah. So another thing, I'm also a shark aficionado. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Awesome.
you are batting in my wheelhouse right now with this game.
Hopefully we get it right though.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like when you were all like, "Oh, we've shown off that anglerfish and the promo material," and like I hadn't seen that bit of promo material. I just know that was an anglerfish.
You just saw
Right
that.
on.
You were like, "Oh, I
And
know
I'm
what
like-
this dangling light is. You're not gonna trick me."
I was like, "I'm on to you, mean fish." So, but well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today and showing off the game. Before we start saying any goodbyes or anything, there's one last thing that we have to do, and it's a little bit that I call the 5 questions. Now, just in case you two aren't aware, or anyone in the audience isn't aware, the 5 questions are, well, 5 questions that I prepared before the show that really have nothing to do with anything we've talked about before or leading up to this moment. Just a way to like kind of, get to know you guys a little bit better. Spoiler alert, none of them have to do with donkeys. So you're safe there.
Sounds good.
So question number 1, what was the last book that you read?
The Terror,
Oh, nice.
which weirdly, I've absolutely fantastic. If any of you like, I love things that merge. I mean, I guess considering we're sort of talking about it, our game takes a lot of myth and merges it with some of the actual science. So the Terror is about a real life expedition that went terribly wrong. I believe in the 1800s.
They were looking for
3
the
ships were sent
Northwest
to them.
Passage, Northwest Passage,
Yep.
if memory serves.
Yep. Through the ice caps, and everybody died in real life, but there was a lot of rumors, stories about monsters on the ice they encountered. And the book is essentially half really what happened to the ship, and half like, okay, they did run into some monster that they couldn't identify, and it manages to straddle kind of both of the lines fantastically. But I read it like 3 months ago. I actually need to get back into reading for some reason ever since quarantine happened. Without subway rides and bus trips, my reading has tanked significantly, but highly recommended.
Nice. And Bennett?
I don't read nearly as often as I should, just in general. So I think the last book that I must have read might have been Metro 2033, which was a while ago. Yeah, no, Nick, it's like, that's way too long ago.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm going to agree with you.
yeah, no, I'm fully aware of my. I'm trying to think if there has been anything that I've read since, but if there was, nothing that like made any sort of impression on me whatsoever. Otherwise, I'd remember it, right?
That's
But the
fair.
book is better than the games. I will say that. It's also very different from the games. You spend a lot of the game shooting. I think the main character fires a weapon like maybe 2 times in the book.
Well, it's interesting too because Stalker is heavily inspired by a book called Roadside Picnic, and Stalker is of course how should we say this, an action game, and in the book Roadside Picnic, I don't think the main character encounters a gun ever.
It's amazing how game development tends to do that. It's like, okay, what about this story? Except it's a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Like, well, wait a minute. They don't have a gun at all.
I'm
Yeah,
wondering.
but what if they
It
did?
makes me wonder what the best book adaptation to a game would be. I would argue probably would have to be The Witcher 3, though I know a lot of purists of the book
Well, the
don't like
thing
some of
is,
the ways it integrates things.
Fictional Cat, real quick, don't worry, I haven't missed you. We'll get to this in a moment. But the main thing is, with adaptation, I feel personally that the goal of adaptation is to nail the spirit and the feel of the work that's being adapted. And, so adapting, say, a book to a video game would be very difficult because just the mediums are so very different. But if you can nail the kind of like, I only know very little about Metro at all. But from what I have picked up of it, like one of the main themes is just kind of like the brokenness of the world, the danger and isolation. And if that's a theme that carries over from the book, then it would be like solid in that it's at least carrying across the feeling and the sense of it.
Yes and no. It does a decent job at the start, but like while that is the theme, it's very loosely, that's like where the theme of the book starts, and it feels like that's where the theme of the game ends. Like that's as far as the game goes. And it's so in that sense, it's certainly in the same ballpark for sure.
Yeah.
So they did that at least.
Also, I started playing the third one, and that game is terribly written. So I hope the book is significantly better. So I was like you find your wife after she thought you went on a death trip, and she goes, "RTM, I knew you could do it." I'm like, that's not what your wife would say. If you haven't seen her for years. What is this game? Anyway,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
just gonna
they
make
are.
enemies in the chat.
I mean, they are Russian, so
Yeah.
Russians are weird. Like I'm not saying like weird by American standards. I'm not saying that they're like some objectively weird group of people, but
Well,
they do tend to do things that we would not consider to be logical or intelligent. As I'm sure they would look at us and just be like, "What the hell are those Americans doing?"
True.
So, but before we move on to the next question, Fictional Cat, one of Mod Supreme of the channel, has turned in 1,250 points for all three of us to do a dab.
Oh dang.
So,
Right.
we're gonna try this again. We're gonna try and do a group dab, the three of us. Now, everybody hold up your left hand real quick. Okay, cool. That's the direction we're going to be dabbing. So this way, because I've tried just saying everybody dab to the left, but then like some people go like backwards. So it's just like, yeah. So I'm going to do a countdown from
This
3.
is the hand that I'm dabbing. This is the arm
Yes,
that I'm
we are going to be
into.
dabbing
Okay.
into the left elbow pit.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a countdown from 3 and then we'll dab together. It'll be like on clearly whatever 0 was. We're not going on 1. We're not going to like pull that like lethal weapon. Do I go on 1 or go on 0 thing? So 3, 2, 1, dab. All right. Well done. Rock on, guys. Party. Question number 2. What is your favorite kaiju?
Okay, I'll give you a weirdly specific one because I used to write for a lot of horror stuff and I grew up on it. So Rodan, but not the actual creature Rodan. In the movie, there's some weird, creepy centipede thing that comes out of the mines, and I never remember its name. But as a kid, it scared the hell out of me. So that one. That's what Rodan comes to fight, I think.
Word.
Man,
I'm down.
That is a very good question. I don't know if my kaiju knowledge is like excellent.
I mean, you can always just
the-
say
like,
Godzilla. That's fine too.
No, well, so like, but I'm trying to remember. Like, I remember being
Feel like a
kind of like
Mothra guy.
quasi into Godzilla when I was younger. But like the question I have is Mecha Godzilla considered a
Yes.
kaiju? Okay, then Mecha Godzilla. I always thought that was the coolest stuff in the world. It's like, wait a minute, you guys made a giant mechanical Godzilla the size of Godzilla? Give me a slice of that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, there's actually like effectively two types of Mecha Godzilla, because there was the one that was made by aliens to kill Godzilla so they could take over the planet, and then there was the one made by people to fight Godzilla in case he stopped being like the 60s era protector and went back to being a douchebag. And spoiler alert, he did. So, but yeah, no, Mechagodzilla totally counts. Doesn't matter if it's being piloted by people, aliens, or whatever. Counts.
That's my answer then. Excellent. He's like the Metal Sonic of kaiju.
Yeah. Question number 3. Going back to Captain America Civil War, are you guys on Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
Wait, I have to remember the like. I try not to like the specific like politics of it. Was forget.
I literally never watched one of them, so I'm gonna go Team Blade.
Okay.
Whatever team. I'm like, who's the superhero I like? Blade movies are great.
Yo, they do have an MCU Blade movie coming out in the not too horribly distant future. And
Awesome.
Mahershala Ali is
Better be
playing
rated R.
Blade, and he's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually a good casting pick.
I think that, like, dude, don't get me wrong. Like, I love the Wesley Snipes Blade movies, especially the first one. But like, yeah, Mahershala Ali is gonna like actually make those movies good. So
Come on, I just want an intro where blood shoots out of the water system. Like,
oh yeah. That's probably one of the best opening scenes in action movie history.
oh, it's great.
Bennett?
Where you
Yeah, I
stand,
think that
Bennett?
puts me on philosophically. I think I stand with Captain America. Though,
think-
like, I'd want to be on the other. Like, the other team felt cooler, but I'd have to stand with Cap.
Yeah, I still think Cap is right, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that Iron Man doesn't also have some very good points.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job with that. Like,
Yeah.
maybe
Nobody
both
was
of them
really
should, like,
right,
slow
but nobody
down
was
and, like,
wrong.
knock it out
Yeah.
instead of punching it out at an airport.
Oh yeah, dude, that's an excellent scene. And then when Spider-Man showed up in the trailer and we all like collectively lost our shit.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I'm like, I kind of want to be on Spider-Man's team.
Yeah. But I mean, he's an easily influenced teenager, so.
That is true. You just coerce him onto your team.
Yeah, I just love how old is this guy? I didn't carbon date him. But question number 4, which accidentally ties into question number 3, what is your favorite action movie?
I feel like I have to go with the standard. Like, I don't know. It's very, 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 very hard to top Die Hard. Like,
That is a
like
very good
in terms
answer.
of one I've rewatched. It's the one I've probably rewatched the most. Though actually, that's slightly a lie. As a kid, the one I watched the most by far was Speed, which I still think is really good, but not Die Hard.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't know you were gonna pick Die Hard. So
I mean, you're allowed to
will-
pick Die Hard too if you were going to pick Die Hard.
I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. Like, I mean, I almost wanna pick. I'm waiting for every action movie I see, I compare to Die Hard. So like, I'm waiting for the movie where I can be like, oh no, now you're being compared to, say, Mad Max Fury Road. Felt close. So I'm gonna make that my answer because Die Hard's been spoken for. Not spoken for, but Die Hard's already been represented, and I've already said it 3 or 4 times. So now I'm just gonna say Mad Max Fury Road.
Which is also fair because an additionally excellent movie. Die Hard is also the correct answer to what is the best Christmas movie.
That is undeniable, no question there.
Yeah, undeniable. I also would like to throw into the ring for consideration True Lies.
True Lies is seriously underrated, particularly in James Cameron's, because I feel like it's actually the one that fewer people have seen compared to all of his
Yeah. Oh,
movies.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It like the movie I would most compare True Lies to is McTiernan's Last Action Hero, which I feel
Oh, yeah.
is an excellent like deconstruction of the like the 80s and early 90s action movie. And True Lies kind of like goes that same route, except in the instead of like calling out the absurdity, it just like embraces that absurdity.
Yeah.
Like
God, I
True
have to
Lies
change
is,
my answer.
huh?
I have to change my answer. I just remembered. I was like racking my brain. My answer is Total Recall.
Ah.
I don't know what I'm saying. My answer is 100% the original Total Recall.
Oh.
I love that movie. Unironically, from start to finish, everything about that movie is just
Start
excellent.
the reactor.
All right, Quado. All right, guys. Question number 5. Intel or AMD?
I've gone both, but right now I am rocking an Intel, so I gotta say Intel.
So I actually used to work for a company that kind of like tracked how companies treat their workers. They both do good, but Intel does better. So I'm gonna just go Intel based on that.
Okay.
Nick's not a PC gamer, so the question
I,
doesn't have as much application or like meaning to him. He's like, I don't care.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
like,
he,
who
he
paid their workers more? I'll give them this.
he is talking to us from probably
call.
one of the last ever Intel-based Macs as well.
Did
Yeah.
not know that.
Yeah, Apple's dropping Intel to go with ARM processors that they're going to be designing themselves for all future generations of Apple hardware.
Sure, it's just gonna make it all more expensive.
Well, the idea is that theoretically it will eliminate some level of cost from the processor because ARM chips are significantly cheaper and they're going to be designing them in-house. But it's Apple, so they'll probably charge you for, the luxury of a processor designed exclusively for your computer.
So this is white glove treatment, guys. Come on,
The-
pony up that extra 300.
I
you
make these
saying
jokes.
The processor designed exclusively for an Apple computer. I can picture the black background with the rotating laptop device with the sort of like light lens flare hit coming from the back as they say designed exclusively. And it's,
For the MacBook
whole-
Pro 13-inch Retina display.
yeah, exactly.
Apple. I make these jokes and my iPhone's sitting on my desk right over there. So I grew up on Apple computers, so I feel like as somebody who had to use them for a very long period of time, that I can just rib the hell out of them. So,
Hey,
I mean, hey, they make quality machines. They just make quality expensive machines.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they charge you
refurbished
they know
all the
they
way.
can charge you for them, so they do.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Like, seriously. Submarine game, Sanity, and title. Yes, you're invited on the show. So, that's
Appreciate it.
Nick from Pitcher Game, Nick Sedemus 1, in case you're on the Discord for it, was making fun of me for days when I pointed out your game and I said I have to have these guys on the show. And of course, he's not here right now. Calling you out, buddy. But, well, either way, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Is there any other place for people to find information on Depths of Sanity other than your Twitter tag, which has been cycling through on my little box thingy there?
Twitter's one of the best places. We do have a Discord as well, that we're like slowly building up. We don't have a lot of it's kind of we do post information in there when we do have news. And I believe there's a link to that in our Twitter somewhere, but I'll let Nick handle it because he's actually a little more aware of where our links and stuff are these days.
I do think you're correct,
I'd
I will say.
Twitter definitely. If you want to check out the game, Depths of Sanity on Steam, would probably be the two main places. We're in semi hibernation right now because we're kind of gearing up for a big launch. We're going to be um, bringing out the game in early access towards the end of the year. So we're going to have a kind of a big content um, blowout fairly soon. But those would be the two places I would say to go. So yeah, check out the demo. Follow us on Twitter. We'd really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, guys, I'll talk to you in just a minute. I'm just going to switch over to this camera angle here and say, hey, audience, thank you guys for joining us today. As they mentioned, their demo is on Steam right now. So if you want to check it out, go ahead, download that demo. Demos are free. And if you dig the game, throw it on your wish list. I know it's helpful for all those Steam guys because the Steam ecosystem is just, well, I don't have any polite words for it, so I'll just leave it at that. Other than that, tomorrow I'll be back at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time talking with some of the folks at Emergo Entertainment about their game Fireside. And tonight, if you are virtual reality inclined, in, just, what is that, about 4.5 hours, I think, we have the VRA Art Live Galactic Safari. And if you want to check that out, it's kind of like going to be a rave with art is the easiest way to explain it, although that's probably also not entirely accurate. If you want to check any more info about that, search for @thesabbylife on Twitter. She has a wonderful video on how to get all set up for that you'll be able to find through that. And if you do show up, tell them that I sent you. Actually, don't tell them that because then they might kick you out. No, that's not true. They love me over there. Or at least that's what they tell me to my face. So thank you all for joining us. I'll see you all next time on the next episode of That Tom Clancy Show. And until then, be sure to drink some water, get some rest, wear your mask, be kind to people just in general because people are great. And I like people. So just continue being kind and being awesome, being excellent to each other. Thank you, Bill and Ted. They're way ahead of their time. So until then, everybody, have a great day. And I'll see you tomorrow. Don't mind me. I'm just